What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Citizen Talk, episode 2, hosted by myself, Evil Tactics, and Mr. B Knight, or Blue, as everyone likes to call him, because he's always got blue background. How you doing today, Blue?
I'm excellent. Just got done with work. I am ready for Star Citizen chat and talk and gameplay, and I'm actually in Quantum, so I'm not distracted. So yeah, ready to go.
You'll be distracted in about 3 minutes.
It's a slow ship, so it might be more like 5.
I mean, that's good. I'm stuck in Pyro at the moment. I don't know what if it was the server I was on or what, but I couldn't jump out of Pyro. I do it completely in the Asgard, and then get to the end, come out of the quantum tunnel or the freaking jump tunnel, and I'm back in Pyro. I'm just going, well, I've been Star Citizened.
You have. I got Star Citizen the other yesterday. I was out in Pyro actually myself, and I was with Eddie and who else was out there? No, I was just out there with Eddie and Gonda. Gonda ended up leaving after a little bit, but Eddie and I were doing CZs, and while Gonda was there, we were at the supervisor station trying to get the red card. We just got the card, and I got back into my Asgard, and I got incapped going up the ladder for like the 7th time. And then when they revived me, I revived inside the ship. Not inside like the part where you're supposed to be inside, like physically inside the ship where you're not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my fun Star Citizen experience there. Thankfully, they were able to fly the ship back to the location, so I could just exit the menu and fix everything. But
so there's actually a workaround for that, right? You just got to open the door beforehand. So when you get in your Asgard, when you walk up to the ladder, if you look up, there's a button.
Yeah.
Hit open, it'll leave it open. And then you don't have to worry about the bug with getting incapped, insta-killed by your ship ladder.
That's definitely good to know for the future.
Yeah. So might as well do the intros. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Evil Tactics. You can find me at twitch.com/ or twitch.tv / the Evil Tactics. I couldn't just do Evil Tactics because Twitch hates me. I stream whenever I have time and I'm not deadbeat tired after work. And I have been a backer of Star Citizen for the past 10 years, playing for, I'd say, 8 of those years, on and off. But yeah, I mean, just having fun, learning stuff, following all the Evocati notes and all the patch notes. Tell you what, my next patch looks it's going to be interesting.
I've seen some of it, and I'm both intrigued and indifferent at the same time.
Yeah, tell me about it, because I'm sending you 2 things right now.
By the way, we do our research in show sometimes. While he's sending all that info, I am Mr. Blue Knight. My gamer tag and Twitch tag is Mr. B Knight. No I, so MRBKNGHT. You can thank Activision for that. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Actually, after we wrap up Citizen Talk tonight, I'm going to be jumping on. And then on the weekends when I can. I've been addicted to... Hi, my name's Mr. B Knight, and I am been addicted to Star Citizen. I went back and found when I purchased my game package, and I have to redact what I said last stream. February 14th, I bought my game package on Valentine's Day. So go me, and not buying flowers for my wife that day.
February,
actually,
really?
Yeah, it was February, so it was mid-February when I joined on.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've been streaming on Twitch for 5 years, and this is holy cow. Was that? Sorry, I just noticed in game somebody has a named ship, and I was like, oh, gamer player names are back, but that's a whole nother thing. I don't think it is. It just had a named ship.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Welcome to playing a game and doing a talk at the same time.
I'm only doing this so I can get to the ship for ship of the week. And it's just a pain in the butt to call it up. I don't want to wait 18 minutes. Oh my god, I'm in Lorville. That's not the landing spot. Where's Tisa?
I don't know. Where is Tisa Spaceport?
I was just flying towards where other ships were popping out of it, so I'm just looking for the landing zone right now.
Or as we like to say, welcome to Tisa Spaceport. Oxygen levels are at 83% toxic.
Yeah. Oh, am I over it? I think I'm over it. Cool. I'm just gonna hit ATC and see if I get anything. Okay, so overview for today's episode. We're going to go over a new item, Ship of the Week, which is actually coincidentally the Wicklow Polaris. We'll get to that in a little bit. Then we're going to go over our main topics of 4.2, the 4.2 patch that's coming up. It's currently going in, they've got the waves going in PTU. There's some exciting things, and there's some interesting things that aren't exciting. I don't know how to put it. We'll wrap up Invictus.
Citizen. It's all exciting.
It is all exciting. Wrap up Invictus week. We'll take questions from viewers, and I think that touches base on everything for the full episode. And as always, we'll touch base on this, give a sneak preview to next episode at the end.
Exactly.
So, I'm actually going to pull up the ship of the week. I'm touching down here really soon. So if you want to take it away.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a very big weekend for Mr. Knight. He got surprised by the org we are in, which you will see above his webcam. You'll see our logos slideshow on, and then you'll see the org we're in. So, Makina actually surprised Blue with a Wicklow Polaris. So he was the proud winner, even though I think someone was trying to shoot him as he was running over to the kiosk to claim the ship. Someone was a little jealous. I mean, he got the Wicklow Polaris, which is, needless to say, no easy feat to get. And I really do hope, fingers crossed, you don't get Star Citizen and it goes bye-bye come the next patch, because they like to do that shit. But,
yeah, they do.
You know, the org came together. They got everything that was needed for it. And due to how helpful Blue is in the org and just everything he does, freaking takes part in events, takes part in org night, you know, helps out with mining, salvaging, whatever it is, duping of weapons, whatever.
I did a lot of stuff in my personal time that was outside of org, and I ended up turning in a bunch of favors, and I've got 2 ships on my pad. I turned in a bunch of favors and a whole bunch of Quantanium and organizing mining groups and things like that. So
yeah, so it's a pretty cool ship. I mean, me and Blue flew out to Pyro, did some cool cinematic flying around it, got some cool video footage, which we might show off. I'm going to work on doing something that's less labeled, because the video edit I did kind of turned into a recruitment ad for the org. But I'm going to work on something a little more special. And yeah, we might actually show that off. Probably be like a 5-minute little video by the time I hopefully get done with it. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. I mean, trying to fly with dual sticks in Pyro is interesting, and I tell you what, I'm glad I didn't have the Gladius, because I took the Gladius out today, in the 4.2, and was at Pyro 1, and dude, I couldn't outmaneuver a Connie. Yeah. The new flight models are kind of in there, so atmospheric flying kind of impacts your ships. Dude.
Okay.
The Gladius, because the Gladius is one of the first ships that's actually got its
Blades.
no, not the blades. The what's the word I'm
Oh, my
thinking
bad.
of here? Control surfaces. That's the word. To where the actual flaps actually do things and whatnot. So it was a little weird, and I was doing mouse and keyboard because 4.2 didn't carry over my profile, and I'm not dicking with it. So, yeah, that was kind of fun. But yeah, let's go on over and let's take a look. You got it up?
Yes.
Oh, wrong one. I might fuck something up here.
Take this out full screen. But yeah, anyway. So still powerful, still feared. Obviously, Idris has come in to kind of days that if you look around the ship, because you piece the thing together, and Wicklow puts like he's a
That I can take these in.
okay.
Make them better. Thank you, Chrono. I did not realize that was going on. We had a little bit of an issue there for a second, but I think we have it sorted out.
There we go. I was gonna say the intro music was definitely still going.
Which I don't know why. It shouldn't have been. But okay, it's fixed.
All right, there we go. Okay, so when you walk around the ship, you'll notice that a lot of the surfaces, especially the ones that are used a lot, are definitely worn down. A lot more than what a standard Polaris would look like.
Yeah.
Cargo bay looks pretty much the exact same. Engineering and torpedo tubes and all that all looks the same. One of the elements that I think definitely looks like it's been abused a little bit more is the hangar door. If you look up here, there's
Yeah, I think it definitely looks used and abused.
A lot more wear and tear, which I think it gives a character. I actually have one of my Gladiuses in here. The same issue happened to me with my second Gladius. I had it parked here. I think it was touching one of the sides here, and it didn't completely attach to the hangar floor. So when I jumped into Quantum, it went. Usually, what I'm going to use this for in the future is kind of like a mini carrier. So if it's fully manned, when I say fully manned, all the turrets are covered, and then I also have 2 pilots on board. I'll have a bomber Gladius and a regular fighter Gladius, and we can deploy those as needed. But aside from that, everything else is pretty much the same to a regular
Isn't it
Polaris.
supposed to have upgraded components?
It might. Let me see. I'm gonna have to send it down. Do you by chance have the stats on a standard Polaris?
I can get it. Thank
If
God
you do that
for multiple monitors.
Yeah. I'm just
How
gonna
you doing,
take
Chrono? You doing good, man? All right, let's go to Polaris. Where's that?
taking a look around the cockpit really quick. This is pretty much it. If you've ever been in a Polaris before, it's pretty much the same.
I almost forgot.
Yeah,
who
only
made the
difference
damn
are
thing.
RSI.
All right.
Yeah, just
And
some of the
since they
surfaces are a bit more
don't
worn
give
down.
Yeah, since they don't give you the choice in what's its name DPS calculator to see what the differences are. I get in the home and back to work from vacay, back to near 1,000 emails. Ouch.
That's
yeah,
pretty much what my life was like when I take vacations.
That's kind of what the wife's was like. She took 2 weeks off for the kid's birthday, and she had over 400 emails to get back to. She got almost
All right,
600.
switch back to my face while I send this thing down. After I send it down, so I can look into the components.
But yeah, I mean, dude, doing those maneuvers, and I swear to God, if I would have been in third and first person mode, I probably would have hit that torpedo in that
In the video?
in the video, because dude, I got close. Thank God the hitboxes in this game aren't like Call of Duty hitboxes.
No kidding.
I might have definitely blown up.
So while this thing's going down, in order to get this thing, there's a whole laundry list of items. There's 60, 63, 68, 77, 72, 73, 78, 80, 83, 89, 90, 91, 141, 156, 106, 167 items that you have to collect in order to get a Polaris.
I did not realize it was that much.
Yeah.
167 items?
That's individual items.
Holy
That's
crap.
that's counting like that's 50 Polaris bits, that's 60 Wicklow favors, each individual item. It's 100 what did I say, 160 something?
167, yeah.
Okay, so the components. I'm
pretty sure it's supposed to come upgraded with components, not just be a stock.
That's what you would think.
That's what I was.
I'm going to pull this up. You can see my screen all right?
I can see most of it. So jump.
All right. So yeah, vehicle weapons and everything are pretty much all stock. I'm going to open this up, take a look at it. I have to step away for like 10 seconds.
No, you're good. Quantum drive. Ebros. Shield generator. Glacius. Power plant. Looks like it's the Stelliot. Really?
Is it all the same?
Yeah. So okay, you can read it better than I can, but it looks like we'll stop from coolers. You
Coolers is
have
Sarek.
Sarek. Okay. Power plant is the Stellate, whatever you want to call it. Shields are the Glacius.
The Stellate.
Yeah, Stellate. Shields are the Glacius, Glasses, whatever. And Quantum Drive is the Ebros.
Yeah.
Okay, those are stock.
Interesting.
And you know what I didn't realize?
Yeah.
The coolers in the power plant are civilian grade A. They're not even military
Interesting.
on the Polaris. And the shields are industrial grade A.
Yeah, and they're all the weapons that come out on the Omni Sky 7s and or no 12s, 7s. No, that's 12 in Roman numerals.
Oh, Wicklow upgrades
all...
are busted until the next patch. Okay.
Okay.
I did read something about that. Executive hangar ships and Wicklow ships were done down to stock, so that would explain a few things. Because I do remember one of the other Wicklow ships, I think it might have been the Corsair or something, had upgraded guns. So that's a little weird.
I would assume with all that work you have to put into it that you don't just get a stock
job.
because you're not. I mean, that is a ton of man hours, and I'm going to give props to Machina for everything they did. And this is gonna sound silly, but I still have I'm excited and honored that they gave it to me, but I'm also have that that winner's remorse kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Because I'm the kind of person that if I don't win, yeah, I'm like son of a. But at the same time, I also feel if I win, I'm like, why can't everybody else win? And I'm not saying you get a participation prize, but you should also get paid for your efforts and that kind of recognition. Not hey, you attended this meeting. Here's a blue ribbon for being here. No, not that kind of thing.
I feel good. Thank you for that. I thank you for reminding me. I did forget that they were borked.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to taking care of this for the org while we have it until 1.0 gets through and then Wicklow gets wiped and we have to go through that whole mess. But yeah, I have it ready to go usually at all times if we're gonna do an event or something that requires multiple ships or whatever. So it's ready to go for the org when I need it. I was online last night. I think it was when I was doing the CZs that one of the other guys asked, so is it your daily now? I'm like, oh hell no. The ship in general is not practical unless you are working with a crew to go do what you want. It's slow, it's cumbersome. If I do end up using it in my own time, I would use it as a base. So take executive hangars, for instance, go park it out in dark space and park the two ships in there. You take one as your main ship, and then you have a backup, and you set your spawn point in case you die in the hangar, so you can get back quick. Those kind of missions that I would have it set up for if I was doing it on my own. Yeah. Aside from that, I love the paint job. I love the ship is still a Polaris. It's still impressive. I'm still happy to have it. So.
Yeah. As Feelgood says, he thinks they should account buying those paints for Legacy. So that is one thing that that's going to kind of tie us into our next subject a little bit there. Feel good. A lot of new players, and I'm on a Facebook group for Star Citizen. I'm on two of them actually, but I'm on one. And I keep seeing the same question over and over again almost every day is what ship should I buy? But what you just brought up is actually another question that keeps popping up is people are asking, well, when this game goes to 1.0, will everything be transferred? Sadly, from what I understand, everything come 1.0 will be a complete wipe again. So I have a feeling we're going to all start from scratch again. Now, whether or not the ships you got in 4.0, like the Wakulla stuff and all that, will stay, who knows? They might actually let you guys keep those because of how much of a hassle, I guess you could call it, is to come up with all those items just to get the ship. So
Yeah,
I would assume executive hangar ships and things like that are probably going to be account locked. I mean, you'd have to check your hangar, honestly, to see if they've attributed it to your account or not.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I doubt it is at the moment.
I will check back from time to time, but I would, if I was CIG, I could see all of the ships that are bought in game. Like the ones that you can go raise money for and go to New Deal and buy. Those ones I could see justifying, like 1.0 comes around, they're wiped. Anything where you have to put in any real effort, where you either it's extremely difficult as a solo, or you have to get a group of people together to actually do it, I believe those items should be just as significant as pledges. Because they're specialty items, and who knows? Like, the org has a Wicklow Polaris. Come 1.0, are they going to bring back Wicklow to make us do it all again to get the ship back?
Oh, Wicklow's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so that's my point. Like,
yeah,
are we going to have to do it all over again just to get the same thing? Or if it goes away, or like things change over time, are you never going to see this limited edition item ever again?
Yeah, that's going to be one of the interesting questions that, I'm sure someone on Spectrum has asked, and it's probably been asked and answered by CIG at the moment. Whether or not it's actual, set in stone. I can see two sides of that. I can see them going, well, you know what, it's a gameplay loop, and this is your reward. So if they really don't care about their player base, they'll wipe it. If they really care about their player base and they don't want to piss off however many people have it come 1.0, which from what we know of right now, it's only like 20-something people or /orgs have actually completed any of the Wicklow ships.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Polaris. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to find out, because if they do wipe it, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people. But
I was going to say, if I were CIG, I'd keep the challenging items safe.
Yeah, because like one of the questions was, and this also ties into it. Hold on. Feelgood says there's got to be a compromise, in my opinion. I see wiping so that new players buying into a complete game aren't just at the very bottom of the food chain, but you have to let some of that effort stand. Yeah, and that's where my next the next question that popped up from someone on the Facebook side of things asked, what is the difference between in-game ships and pledge ships? Well, that's easy. Pledge ships we get if you bought one when the game launches. We don't start with nothing. We don't start with the 15,000 UEC. We don't start with the 20,000 UEC and just one ship. We start with everything that we have pledged. Players who don't want to pledge ships and only bought the $45 starter pack and want to run and grind and mine and do whatever they can in game to get their next ship, sadly, y'all are going to lose that ship. Any ship you buy in game when 1.0 finally does come out. So yeah, there is a perk to pledging on the pledge store. That does not mean go steal your mom and dad's credit card.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Here at Citizen Talk, we do not condone theft.
No, we
unless it's piracy in game.
That'll lead us up to another question that we have in the next episode. But
can I touch on what Feelgood's statement was there?
Go ahead.
Opinion? So I completely see the perspective of, you know, wiping so that new players to the game don't get wiped out. And I completely understand that. However, with pledge ships, let's for just a second put like the Wicklow ships and the and the ships, the exec ships, on the same tier as pledges. You're going to have new players all the time, whether it's in alpha or it's in 1.0. So a new player now would have the same advantage as a new player at 1.0, regardless of a wipe or not. Yeah. Yes, there's going to be players that have more ships, but we already have orgs. We've got our org right now, Machina has, when they are finally out of development, we've got at least one Kraken, 2 Javelins, multiple Idrises, countless Polarises, and those are all pledge ships.
Yeah.
So they are going to be persistent and stay through 1.0. So yes, I understand the perspective of, yeah, we should wipe them and wipe progress and everything for new players, but at the same time, there's new players all the time. At 1.0, when that comes around, I think that money should be reset, because that, I mean, we all know, anybody who's played the game for more than a week can understand that if you find the right people, find the right resources, you can make money quick. And all the ships that you bought in game, those could be reset. But for the most part, like, I think the Wicklow items, the hard to get rare items, those should be persistent.
Yeah.
Heck, I don't even care if my entire inventory, like all the weapons that I've looted from Pyro, I don't care if those get wiped, as long as I still have the opportunity to go out and loot them again, because they're a little bit more challenging than just looting regular bounties, but it's still easier to get than a Wicklow item.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, trying to get to one of the other subjects that we had earlier, and I can't find it. I want to save that. Gimme.
Where are you looking?
I had the link to the financials, and I can't find them now.
Oh, you're getting to the main topics.
I'm getting over to that one here in a little bit, because I just need to find the original post. Because there's a guy on Reddit who is just a guru of this stuff. And he's insane with how accurate he is. And I was listening to another guy talk about it, and I can't seem to find it now, but I do know that CIG broke every past year's record so far this year. So that's the crazy thing about that. But yeah, so that's kind of how pledging works, and the difference between pledge ships and ships you buy in game. You know, pledge ships you get to keep come 1.0 or come full release. In-game ships that you've purchased, not so much.
Think of pledges kind of like DLC packs that you get to keep forever.
Yeah, right. So how much have you been following what's coming in 4.2?
I have been watching a few videos, and part of the reasons why I have my screen up is to bring up the Asgard because some of the items and some of the things that you're going to need in 4.2 are, drop ships and ground vehicles and things like that. So I think it would be relevant to this.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the radiation items. I haven't seen the Apex. What the heck is that animal's name called?
Valakar.
The Apex Valakar. I haven't seen that one yet.
I don't think it's the Apex we're going to see yet. I think it's the adult.
Okay. The weather is intriguing. I've noticed they have added some weather elements to some of the planets Stanton side. Just on like small scale, and it does add that little bit of zest to the game. But like the rain and the thunderstorms are interesting. There was one thing that I was watching a video from a YouTuber earlier today, actually, and they were talking about weather being able to affect your ships. And I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that particular addition to the game because I want to see how it works in the game itself, because I am a pilot. I have heard stories and real life accounts of aircraft being struck by lightning, and it does nothing to the aircraft. Sometimes there's electrical disturbances, but for the most part, there's even backup systems so that if all your electrical goes down, you still have the analog HSIs and altimeters and things like that. And it's not all reliant on electricity. So I'm curious to see how that's going to affect gameplay. I find it frustrating when my ship breaks down anyway. So,
and ladies and gentlemen, that is why our planes in reality are built out of aluminum.
Yeah, aluminium.
That is why. Because ask them what happened in World War II, and after the World War II, what happened with a plane when it was struck by lightning. It wasn't good. Because they were still built out of steel.
So yeah. Not to jump around too much. I'm a little scatterbrained when it comes to 4.2 because there's a lot coming.
Yeah, so there is a literal metric ton of information on 4.2. So I mean, we've got a lot here. We know we're getting a form of the Valakar, which I have seen leaks on it, and a couple of the Evocadis have teased some stuff, and, obviously Wave 1 and whatnot was yesterday. Now we're at Wave 2, which they were saying they want to get as many waves done as possible come by Friday, which does not mean they're going to be launching by Friday. Because that would be a shock if they launched 4.2 come the 1st of June. I'm thinking mid to late June, maybe. But
I was sitting here thinking that we're really far away from June, and we're really not.
No, we're a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally, we got a couple days left. Like Invictus ended yesterday. Jesus, the holiday.
Yeah.
Ended on Sunday. No,
Monday was last day.
Monday was last day. Sorry.
Sunday was Drake Day.
Yeah. Which I have my ironclad. Yay.
Well, have it in spirit.
Yeah, right. I have it in spirit. Sadly, I don't have it. I had to melt my pirate caterpillar, which you can't even buy anymore.
Ouch.
Yeah.
It'll be worth it, buddy. It'll be worth it.
It's going to be totally worth it. They better just give me a black and red camo for that damn thing because I want my black and red. That is my color scheme. So a couple of the other things that we have, they've actually teased a little bit. We did get some Squadron 42 information, but back to 4.2 because I don't want to keep jumping all over the place. So we know we're getting the adult Valakar. We know we're getting radiation gameplay, which I'm kind of excited for that. yes, we are going to have atmospheric disturbances, so lightning storms and a lot of distortion in the atmosphere. Which I watched a video today, and a guy's ship just his MFDs kind of just went haywire, and he fell out of the sky.
Hmm.
So I think it's a EMP type of distortion because it's messing with the
Okay.
electronics.
I could see that if it's in a alien world, or obviously in Pyro, we're inhabiting the system already.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking outside of Earth's physics, and like these storms have radiation in them, and it's more of an EMP effect, I can completely understand that. And
Well,
it
yeah,
will
because
also
these storms have radiation to them, so we
Yeah.
definitely know that enough radioactivity can definitely mess with electronics. So
Mhm.
we know that much, and then we also know that you know actually you can go all the way back to Chernobyl when they were attempting to dump sand and borax on the open
Wow.
reactor. Yeah, their choppers were playing hell flying over it because of all the radiation.
Hmm.
Not to mention, most of the pilots that flew directly over the reactor were dead because the amount of radiation they took in a matter of minutes. But yeah, I'm super excited for. I would love to see some of the engineering gameplay, which I haven't seen anything of yet. No one's covered it. No one's really, like I said, I went to Pyro 1, got into a firefight with an Idris, which I found something out about the Idris and its laser.
Yeah.
The laser is not protected by the shield.
Ooh.
I was firing on a Idris P who had the laser, aiming at the laser, and I was doing damage to it, not even touching the shield.
Hmm.
So the shield does not protect the laser.
Now, I happened to get my hands on an Idris M recently.
Hence why After Dark went short.
Yes, I did not mean to hijack that episode, but it was in the experience with that, and we took the railgun off the M and we put it on somebody else's Idris, one of our group in the orgs. And when you take it off, it's almost like those workout masks that you can put on and covers your face.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like one of those. It's almost like a mask for the front of the Idris. It just popped off. There was no evidence that there's supposed to be something sitting there after the fact. So it was almost like it was magnetically attached to the ship. The way that it looked. There's got to be some attachment points if you look closer to the ship, but from like a distance, it was like you wouldn't tell that there's supposed to be a laser mounted there.
No, the way they designed the K kit, the T kit, and the P kit, like the way it hooks up is actually pretty damn cool. Like I noticed something else too. I wanted to see how the ballistic cannon on the Idris does on the nose, because the top nose one can be the ballistic.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how that does versus lasers, because that's supposed to be like what, a size 7 ballistic, I think.
Yes.
I think it's one size larger than the Polaris is. I think the Polaris is size 6. I might be mistaken on that.
Oh, I was going to ask you, actually. Let me see if I can see what it is before I go too far. When you were shooting that laser, did it affect the actual ship itself? Were able to take it down?
No, the Connie came in and blew
Oh.
my ass out of the sky before I could do it. And I was in a Gladius. I mean, you can imagine a single with only size 2s, really, size 3s on that thing. It's going to be a hot minute before I even register full damage. But when they bring in the better targeting, we can target subcomponents and actual like turrets and whatnot better. Like, because that's one thing I want. if I'm going to target a ship that I'm attacking, let's say it's a capital ship, I want to be able to target the turrets, the main weapons, with missiles. Like I should be able to kind of tell the missiles where to go. Like
You
that
can.
would. Well, I tried that, and the missiles didn't hit the main um, laser. They
Mm,
hit the main hull. So I was just
maybe
like,
it wasn't missiles. Maybe you can just like
I
if
think
you
it's
zoom
just
in, you can
guns.
actually see the guns like highlighted.
Yeah, I think it's just guns because I didn't notice it. But yeah. So 4.2, we know we got new locations coming in. We know we got engineering's supposed to be coming in. I don't know when that's going to be in 4.2 because I haven't seen anything on it. The weather, I flew through the rain today, flew through the storm. That was actually pretty cool. They definitely got to work on the rain audio because right now the rain audio when you're in your ship just sounds like you're in a building. Or
Okay.
sorry, no, it's what it should sound like. It should sound muffled. It's not
Yeah.
muffled when you're in the ship. It just sounds like a normal, like you're standing outside during a downpour.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the audio
You don't
polished for
you,
the ship insides.
you know get the plink of the water against the
Yeah, yeah,
metal and
which I know they have the audio because they leaked it, you know, on some of these posts. But yeah, the weather, the new locations, the POIs, the new laboratories to go to, that's going to be cool. So
Mhm.
Pyro's going to be a hot zone come 4.2. So anyone that needs to do the Hathor missions or haven't been able to do it because it's been a kill fest, now's going to be your chance when 4.2 goes live.
Stanton's going to become the quiet zone again, and then Pyro's going to be PvP land.
Pretty much. Because what
Um,
made me attack the Idris today was I had just landed at one of the locations. And next thing I see, what do I see? I see the freaking, Death Star laser coming down from Atmo and taking out ships left and right. Like this guy's just targeting ships that have landed. Like he's being a douche.
mhm.
And it's just like I'm just sitting there going like, well, there goes a Star Lancer attack. There goes a Guardian. There goes another Connie. And when it started moving my way, I took off and started attacking the damn guy because I'm like, hey, we're just trying to check this thing out, and you're trying to kill us and get us stranded here. So, but there is a landing pad at one of the locations, but it's weird. It's because everyone's parking on it. So if you need to call up a ship, good luck.
It's frustrating.
Vehicle hangars, battle mech, hella changes to the Polaris with possible pilot, slaved ballistic gun. You yet to be determined if there's a bug. Oh, I
That would
haven't
be
heard
nice.
anything on the Polaris. I know they've updated the Idris. So they did say that they were updating the Idris. Look, I'm gonna have to scroll way up here.
That would change the Polaris gameplay quite a bit if they gave the pilot something to shoot with aside from missiles.
Yes. No
By the
wonder.
way, those are size sixes on the front of the Polaris, the Maris cannon.
No wonder I can't find it because I'm looking in the wrong one.
Womp, 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 womp.
But yeah, they've updated the Idris. They are rebalancing the shields, so we know that much.
Ooh, vehicle hangars, battle mech. I read that already. Geo goes on sale in game. That'll be good. I actually had a Geo temporarily. I picked one up because everybody was using them for the Hathor missions, and I was like, well, might as well grab one. But I quickly found out that everybody else had like either one or multiple, so I was like, okay, we don't need this. So I ended up upgrading it to.
We're gonna
I think
need
that's
it.
how I upgraded to my.
We're gonna need it.
How I upgraded my Geo
Yep. But we're gonna need it
or my Gladius.
because in order to get the jumpy new battle mech, you got to give him a Geo.
Oh, you actually have to give him a Geo?
Yeah, so the Geo's been added to the PU store,
Okay.
so you can buy it in game.
That may
So here's
that'd be
something that kind of made me happy was they updated the Idris doors, the door health. So the front doors were each 20K originally. They've been updated to 100,000 apiece. The rear ramp was only at 8,000. Now it's up to 350,000.
That would explain why if you farted towards the flipping thing, the back door would just pop open and stay open. We noticed that on the first couple flights out where we ran into trouble or we got shot at by whatever it was, like instantly the rear ramp was stuck open and damaged. So that'll be a good improvement.
Feelgood actually asked a good question. What the hell is going to happen when you turn a pledge Geo into a combat mech? I wouldn't turn your pledge Geo into a combat mech. I would honestly, if they're buyable in the PU and they're not going to be that much, I would melt your pledge Geo. That way you don't accidentally turn. You may not be able to turn in a pledged item.
I don't think
you can.
I don't know why you'd be able to, because if you turn in a pledged item, like you'd have to claim it or they'd have to update it to whatever, unless they come up with a mechanism that says, or a warning that says, hey, if you turn this in, you're upgrading your Geo to this new battle mech.
No, they don't have anything like that in the game. So
I'm gonna run a new dealer really quick and see how much the Atlas, just the regular Atlas, is in game. Can get somewhat of an idea of what it is, like how much.
Yeah, because the Geo should be probably a little bit.
I think it was 75,000 for the regular Atlas, I think.
75,000.
I think.
Okay, yeah. So Feelgood says it's 75,000. So yeah, so Feelgood. I don't think you will be able to turn in a pledged item for anything in game because pledge items are bought with real money, and if they allowed you to do that, someone who does it by accident may never be able to recover it, even though they might, be able to hit up support. But we all know CIG's support team doesn't like to give you things back. But rumor has it they fixed some of these things, so a lot of stuff should be able to
this guy's
be fixed.
I got greeted. I'm heading a new deal. This is what I get greeted by on the way out the door.
Hello there.
Like, hi. Yeah. I'd be interested to see what they do if they actually make a pledgeable item turn, like able to turn in. Whether that's a warning in game that says, "Hey, you're going to upgrade to this," or don't do it at all, or if you turn it in, it's still insurable. But if they did it, if you could do an insurance claim on it, then that's like printing free Wicklow turn-ins.
Pretty much. So I couldn't see them actually allowing that.
Oh yeah, Chrono. I saw the scanning in-game increase. They made it so that you can scan ships from further away to get like player names up. So it looks like it'll appear almost as if it was prior to the change where they took away player names. So
if I'm out of your A7 place or something. Sorry.
If I'm in the area and I see a serial number, I can like hit my ping button, scan the area, and then that serial number will change from the serial number to the player name. Or you might have to look at your MFD.
You know what they should give us? And it would alleviate this whole problem. So, the serial number is the IFF. Or the FOF, depending on which way you want to look at it in military terms. Why not give us the ability which they are to a degree with ship naming, but give us the ability in the ship loadout manager to just update our IFF to either a username or something similar. You know, like it'd make it so much easier.
Nope, I totally get it.
Like that should be almost a way of like that could be another core gameplay, right? Let's say they bring in smuggling. You got to smuggle a drug from Pyro to Stanton, and on your way to the Stanton gateway, you get stopped. You know of a blockade or an area where they're going to be doing scans, or they're going to scan your ship before you jump. And or something like a ship like the UE Navy comes out, right, and they want to scan you. Well, you have a choice. Let's say they scan you, you get alerted, put on a list that hey, you're a smuggler. Well, then one of the things you could do to help alleviate your chances of getting caught is change your IFF. So now you're going to come up with something else. That'd be a small little gameplay loop there, that they could do. It's already going to take something out of your ASAP and replace it. Yeah, so it's not about it coming out of your ASAP feel good. It's the problem is the pledge stored item is worth $45 USD. They would have to figure out a conversion rate of, they'd have to give you some set of money in the game for that 45. Because if you're going to try and give your pledged Atlas to Wicklow, then you're still going to run into, it's just the monetary. Yeah, they're changing some of the ASOP stuff, which I haven't even noticed anything when I was in 4.2 earlier. They did mention some of the changes to that. As they say right here that they updated the scanning mode UI and feature update. And then they updated... They did update all engineering components, health scaling with increases and decreases across components. They didn't tell us.
Surprise!
Yeah, so there's a couple different changes in here. But like I said, we kind of got sidetracked here.
We're still talking about 4.2.
Yeah, we know of engineering. We know of the ITKI, whatever.
Itki.
Whatever them. That mech. That mech. But so we got engineering coming in, which God, I want to put out a fire on the Polaris. Like, I want to repair components. I want to do that. It adds depth to the gameplay.
I could have swore I'm looking for it right now. I could have swore I saw a fire extinguisher on this Asgard, and I totally could have used it the other day. Yep, it's right in the cockpit, right there. Right freaking here. Could have used that the other day because whenever this ship gets damaged, this entire hallway right here leading up to the cockpit is just engulfed in flames. And you can definitely tell that that was a 4.1.1 update that they're getting ready for engineering. And I actually lost power to this ship coming back. You know how you get damaged in game and you bleed out?
Yeah.
I got damaged and my ship went down like mid-quantum. I was fine and I was going, but it was almost as though the parts and everything were wearing down because they were on fire.
Yeah.
And that was something I hadn't experienced before, and it was frustrating because I was like, what the heck's going on? I had to backspace and go get another ship and retrieve the stuff that I was grabbing.
Yeah. Fires have been in the game for a while. Like when they introduced the Hammerhead, I believe that's when we kind of got to see, I think that was one of the first ships we actually got to see the corridors on fire once it's soft death. And it's an awesome thing when you're. I mean, you were with me when we were doing all that salvaging and all the cargo. We freaking were EVAing, and we had to literally go through a flaming out hallway in 0G. And it's just like, well, I'm either going to take damage or I'm not. Well, we know you're going to now because that's becoming a thing with engineering, which means hopefully our armor will start taking damage.
Mm-hmm.
Feel Good says the Reliant will catch on fire in the main hallway even if you soft death. Yep. Yeah, ships will no longer be full killed, soft kill only, and must be boarded to be completely killed. And lastly, geared tier 1-ish introduced. Yes. Yes, loot gear will finally be able to be lootable again.
You might need to. I've been hearing the terms tier 0 and tier 1 and all this. I don't fully understand that yet. I'm still, again, I've only been playing this since February. Apparently not enough.
So
what is tier 0 and tier 1? What how does that work?
So tier 1 is how can I explain this better? So basically right now, when they implement something new, right?
Mm-hmm.
So engineering is coming in. That's going to be engineering tier 0. It's the basic stripped back version of engineering. Once they get it further polished out and they're able to take the data that they're getting from the live servers and all that to see how things are reacting that are, you know, aka soft death or disabled ships, once that hits its next phase and they are happy with it, it'll go to tier 1. Same thing. It's going to stay tier 1 for a little bit and then transition over to tier 2. Tier 2 is typically full launch on most things. When it comes to item recovery, it was a little different, which is where a lot of people are getting confused. Tier 0 item recovery is basically done on everything that's pledged. Everything that's bought from the pledge store is non-lootable. But the way they implemented it, it's anything that's on your character became non-lootable, except for guns.
Okay.
So if it was on the outside of your body, you could technically, at least you could when 4.0 or 4.1, not 4.11, but 4.1, you could tractor beam the gun off the person. They kind of changed that in 4.11 because I tried that a little bit ago, and I wasn't able to even tractor beam the gun off the guy. But so when tier 1 item recovery comes in, from the way I've understood it, it's going to go, you know, obviously pledged stuff is still safe. Stuff bought in game will be lootable. And then I think it's only going to go to tier 1. It might go to tier 2. They explained it a while ago, and I don't remember. I don't want to say it and be wrong. Let me check Spectrum. Because they really did explain it. Let's see. Item. So supposedly they're going to explain it better at this year's CitizenCon, but that was on October 21st, 24. Where is item recovery?
Speaking of CitizenCon, is that supposed to be all digital this year?
Yeah, it's going to be digital this year. Trying to find it.
stream some Star Citizen gameplay while you're looking. It's like music for dead air, but different.
Yes, I did read that, Chrono. On the next patch, which isn't there because when I died in 4.2, I respawned with all my stuff back at whatnot. So if you spawn on your ship or a ship that has a medical bed, if it does not have a home, the way they explained it, a home location, it's going to go back to the closest station or your home location. But yeah, they haven't really explained much of it.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. If you have an imprint on a ship, why would they send your body back to the ship and not the gear? Why would they like? Why would intergalactic emergency medical services say, okay, we're going to strip you naked, we're going to send this home, but we're going to take the rest of it to the hospital, which is technically your home because that's your floating RV.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some other stuff that was mentioned, and I don't remember where it was. But it's one of those, but more or less, tier 0 is the introduction of something, tier 1 is semi polished, tier 2 is, I guess you could call it gold pass, which means it's fully functional and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Balancing, not lore. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So you can't like spring fully armed out of Ursa 20 feet away after being killed. That's fair, but why wouldn't you couldn't you put it in like storage so that you have to rearm?
Well, that brings up another point that goes back to 4.2 is one of the confusing things here is that you've got to put on a set of gear to get through certain doors. Mm-hmm. They give you nowhere to put your said gear.
Yeah.
There's no lockers.
You just have to drop it.
Like there's lockers there, but there's nothing to grab. Which the second you drop it, it becomes lootable. Which means people are going to be going to these locations just to loot. Because they're going to be able to get all these armors.
Or if you're smart, you just go to the location in something you bought in game that you don't give two craps about.
Yeah, exactly.
Which will change the way you play.
Well, and that's how it's supposed to be. Sooner or later, I can see them going, okay, we're no longer going to sell armor and guns on the pledge store. Because either the pledge store is going to have to go bye-bye and be for ships only when 1.0 launches, or else everyone's just going to buy a set of armor that they never lose.
Yeah.
So armor and guns that were bought on the pledge store, they're going to have to do something with. We're either going to have to be able to lose it, or I think this is one thing that they mentioned with tier 1, is even if the item's pledged, someone can still loot it, but it's insured. So you can go buy it back in-game for in-game currency, which would make sense. Let us insure the items, kind of like in Escape from Tarkov, right? You have a chance to insure your items before you go into your raid, and then you have a chance to get those items back from, I can't remember the guy's name, but he sends out a crew to go retrieve your items. Sometimes they come back with them, sometimes they come back with a few of the items. So the insurance isn't guaranteed. Now, I think it should be guaranteed insurance.
If you spend real money on it, it should be. Yeah.
Which, that's going to be the interesting thing is there's a lot of different implementations. So what you asked, for instance, engineering, tier 0. 4.3, 4.4, 4 point whatever will get advances in engineering. So we'll get, okay, fires and component damage. Now we can repair those components, get them operational again, get our ship out of danger, and get ourselves back to a safe port where we can repair, rearm, and actually fully repair the ship. Because they did say that components will not be fully repairable. They will take damage, they will degrade. So, cool. I like that idea.
Yeah.
There's a
Which
lot
would make
of
more sense for all the components that you can buy at all the stores around the system instead of having just them for upgrades. You actually have to, crap, it's time to change my tires. I need to go get this part because this is worn out.
yeah, because like that's a lot of stuff that I'm actually looking forward to is when they actually bring out a lot of this these balances and they start fine tuning this game because my a lot of us call Star Citizen the game for dreamers
Yeah,
because there's
I could
not
definitely
a
see that.
day that you don't log into this game and wish you could do something or wish that something did this or did that. We want it to be. We want this gameplay loop, which I thought of a gameplay loop today, and I should have wrote it down, and I freaking forgot about it. But it's kind of like it kind of took into play mining a little bit. Like I want to be able to put out a contract and go, hey, I'm going out mining Quantanium. Who's in need of Quantanium? I'll give you so many SCUs of it after it's refined for said price. So now you're selling Quantanium to a player versus to the store. Obviously, it's going to be at an inflated rate because whatnot. But one thing I would love to see is a rating system. So you get down, you call for medical aid, right?
Yeah.
Somebody comes up, they revive you, they give you the one little zap, they get you, and it just enough to revive you, and then they leave. You should be able to go, hey, you know what? That's a pretty shitty service. You revived me, but you didn't heal me. So I'm going to rate you 1 star. And you should be able to put that in there to where now that person's reputation might take a little bit of damage because they're not fully, your medical
You're not
services.
being serviced.
Yeah, right. So then when you call out for medical aid, someone's going to be able to, you'll be able to see who's coming to get you or who's offered to come and get you. And you can go, yeah, you know what? You got a 1 star. I'll pass. Let's go to the next guy that said, hey, I can come get you. I'll fully revive you. Hell, I'll even fly you back to your home base.
Yeah. I like that idea. That actually kind of brings up an idea that I thought of for like the MOBA glass.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in party, I know they have the wallet and everything, but they should. I think it would be interesting if you could set like specific goals for your party. Say you mine X amount of SCUs of Quantanium, or you do, however many bounties that's worth so much. That you can. I suppose it's kind of like the system they do have now, but for bounties, because you can share the contracts. But it'd be kind of cool if you could kind of like bundle a bunch of contracts together. So say you do an Orgonite and you have a specific goal of making like $5 million. Once you hit that $5 million, it'll auto disperse because you hit your goal, and anybody that's in your party will get a piece of that.
Yeah.
So it's like an automatically shared contract that's custom to whatever you're doing for whatever gameplay you're playing that night. That way, you don't have to use third-party programs to keep track of your mining, your refinery work orders, and then try to figure out how much it's worth and where you sell it. It's all predetermined in game because it's all interconnected.
Well,
I think that'd be kind of cool.
That's where UEX comes in handy. Like if they were to take UEX and implement it into the game, which I don't think would be that difficult. The UI team would just have to, obviously add some things every now and then when they add a new
It's just like
item.
stock trading. It's a button that you press. Like, hey, here's the Stanton news in stocks. This is where what's selling, what's hot, what's
Well, and you bring up a good point, because like there's one thing I wish that they would bring into the game. We've been wanting it ever since orgs were allowed to be created. Give us the org bank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to where we can literally put, like, okay, every person goes out on org night, right? Instead of one person having to start up all these refinery orders, everyone can start the refinery in order, or the salvage, go in, sell the salvage, go, okay, the org takes 25%, right?
Mm-hmm.
$4 million salvage, or it takes 25%. That 25% then goes into the org bank account, and you see who deposited, I had to think of the word there, who deposited the funds into the org bank account. There should be a ledger. And then obviously that gives someone else a gameplay loop of their own. Welcome org treasurer. The person that, if you wake up one day and your org bank account is 0 and it was 189 million or billion, you know who to go after. And you can put out a bounty on them. Which brings me to the whole brig thing on ships. Why do we have brigs on ships if we cannot detain someone, put them in handcuffs, or stun them? Because when you stun someone, you're unconscious for all of 10 seconds. Like, you got this shit in the game, but you don't give us anything to do with it. Like, Stop putting shit in the game we can't freaking use. I know Squadron 42 is coming out. I know a lot of this stuff is going to be in Squadron 42, and that's why we're starting to see all these ships and all these features, which we're not supposed to be seeing features this year, but we're seeing small features rolling out because those teams are finishing up in Squadron, and they're slowly making their way over to Star Citizen. Great. Mm-hmm. Bravo. Golf clap. I'm happy. You're putting stuff in the game we can't fucking utilize. Like exploration ships. That was what it was. I just made myself think of it.
Click.
We have we have a Magnus jump point, right? The Magnus Gateway.
Yes.
Even if the Magnus system is not in the game, do us a favor. Put some empty planets out there. Give us anomalies out there. Wouldn't be that hard to do. And let us go scanning. Let people go explore, find some ruins, find something. Like, there's so much I want to do in this game, and I can't fucking do it. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't mind being a murder hobo. I don't mind being a pirate every now and then. I don't mind mining and salvaging and, doing things with the org. But there's going to come a point where people are going to get tired of the sandbox stuff, and they're going to want to go out and freaking explore. Give us the exploration, for the love of God.
There's a lot of things that people are going to do. I know this one's a little bit weird, but I'm a cargo guy. I wouldn't mind doing shuttle services. I want to, transport VIPs across the systems and actually have use for the luxury ships instead of, why am I going to buy this ship when I don't use it for anything except for sitting in it? That's kind of how I feel about the Polaris when I'm on my own. Like, without a crew, it's kind of useless. But anyway, I was going to say is we should get back to our topics. And you were talking about financials and everything, and
well, more or less, that one was answered, so we can skip over financials. We can so we've answered financials. They've killed every previous year so far, from what I've seen. I will find the chart. I will put it in the Discord. I will link the Discord at some point in chat. So all you guys will have to do is type in !Discord, and you'll be able to find a lot of the screenshots and whatnot of stuff that we are talking about in Discord. But right now it's being built. Like again, episode 2.
Numero dos.
Yeah. So still working on a lot of
I was gonna say numero
stuff.
dos for our Italian friends.
But yeah, so new locations, engineering, Idris buffs, we kind of went over that a little bit. They updated the rear ramp. They also updated the Argo hangar door from 8,000 to 100,000. The Polaris got some buffs. So there's another door underneath the Idris. That's
the Idris.
The Argo, the MPUV.
Yeah. Okay.
So they updated that door too. They also updated the Polaris. The hangar is. Actually, this wasn't an update. This was a.
The
nerf for the Polaris. They went from 300,000. Oh no, sorry, I read that wrong. It's a buff. They went up to 300,000 from 162,000 on the hangar doors. And then the ramps up to 230,000 from 20K. Yeah. They were relatively easy to get open. I mean, it took a lot of magazines, but you could definitely do it. And then they also updated the 890 jump door from 400 to 100,000 for the hangar, and then the main lift and cargo lift from 400 to 1,000. So
they didn't need to buff the 890 jump anymore. The door doesn't even open no matter what you shoot at it.
They just need to fix it.
Launch a torpedo and it's not opening.
Yeah, they just need to fix that. And then we got some new guns. We got the Volt shotgun coming in.
That one,
that looks cool.
I was watching into it. Sounded really interesting. It sounds like you will be able to shoot because it's a energy weapon. You'll be able to shoot against like a surface and have it refract off of a surface. So if I'm, say, for example, trying to clear a corner, but I can't see what's around the corner, but I'm pretty sure there's somebody standing right there, I could just shoot at the wall like a pool shot and be able to hit the guy that's right around the corner without having to stick my gun actually around the corner, which sounds really cool. It sounds like a gun in Call of Duty that I'd be really, really pissed off at, but in this game I could find it useful, especially if you're in CZs and you sorry, something just occurred to me. If you're in CZs and you're like trying to clear ambush points, I think that would be a really useful thing. The thing that I just realized is we were at Obituary and the elevator didn't work for a couple of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
As I was leaving, I put a component on the elevator and I hit the send button and I left because I was getting shot at. The component made it through. So I should have loaded everything else on there. I was shocked because there were some really good components on that elevator that we could have taken, but sorry, not trying to derail. I was just like, oh, dang. Okay.
No, I mean, that's good. All right, so this might have been asked and answered. I don't remember. But I want to ask you first. This was your first Invictus. It's now over. We know how you felt about the hull. Dead space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Out of everything, and this is going from the ships that they had for sale, the ships they sold, to the debacle with the flight blades. What were your thoughts on how your first Invictus went, and what do you wish to see in next year's Invictus?
Let's see. I would really like to see the Navy actually show up. I understand that they may have held back because they did add a lot to this particular patch, and just adding a fireworks show, for the lack of a better way of putting it, just a simple way of putting it, to the atmosphere, just to, you know, ooh and ah. I think that would have like made the experience for all the free flight people and for those of us who actively play just kind of more sluggish, and it would have turned us off to the entire thing. So if they made that decision just to keep performance up, I applaud them for that. But I would like to see the really big capital ships like the Bengal and you know, even they make videos of these ships all the time and have them up for display like that. I think Chrono posted in the org chat earlier the Kraken video, and I'm like, if you can make these videos, you can have them flying around somewhere.
Yeah.
But we all know how the Polaris already chews up FPS already.
Which they've worked. They've worked that pretty well from what I've seen. People have tested it, having Polarises and Idris, like 30 plus Polarises and Idrises on the server at one time, and they really didn't tank. So they're getting better with our optimization. But continue. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. The way they do the pledge store, I kind of understand how they do the big ticket items in waves, like the Idris. I kind of understand how they do that. But like the smaller ships, I don't see why they can't. They've got everything. They've got all the manufacturers in the hall. I don't understand why they can't have all the ships available throughout the entire throughout the entire week of the event. Because take a real life car dealership, or say you have a car expo and you can sell cars at the expo.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bring their stock to the expo. They're not going to say, okay, we're only bringing this particular manufacturer in on this day, or you can only buy this particular car in this day. You have it available to you the entire event, and if we run out of stock, we'll just restock before the next day goes through. So the whole you can only buy the items when that particular manufacturer's day comes up, that seems silly to me. The renting, I understand. Like this, you know, this day the airspace is reserved for this manufacturer. That I can kind of get. But the ability to buy the ships, I like. It's like take that expo. If I were to put into a really immersive VR experience, and I could walk up to the ship salesman in the expo and go, hey, I want to take a tour of this ship because I'm really interested in it. Today's, you know, I see your rental day's coming up. Tell me about it. And then you really end up loving it. And like, you know what? Screw the rental. I'm going to buy it. Oh, you're going to have to wait a couple days before you can get it. Like, what? I can't sign the paperwork right here, right now, and then pick it up on whatever. So that was a bit annoying. There should have been more Invictus paints for more ships. I understand that, you know, Drake is kind of an outlier and it's not part of the Navy, and the military ships aren't part of Drake, but I still think, you know, maybe the Drake manufacturer did like a ripoff of the Invictus paint, where they did a Drake Invictus, just kind of like a middle finger to the Navy or what. I mean, you said they're like the redheaded stepchild, where, you know, they still managed to make their way in. Well, why don't they have an Invictus paint?
So
that's extremely similar to.
What's funny about that is typically we get a couple days. Typically it's in November, October.
Mm-hmm.
We get Dracon, which is Drake's Invictus. And
Yeah.
it's typically for, I don't remember the past years if it's for a whole week or if it's for like 2 days. But typically it's called Defense Con. because Drake has become if you know the lore, which I recommend going and watching it. Drake's is actually very interesting lore. So Drake's defense con is Drake became a manufacturer of ships for civilians. So they gave the Drake Buccaneer, which was supposed to be, it's Drake's version of the Gladius, except for they just put a size 5 gun on the fucking roof, which that thing is nuts.
Yeah,
because that gun is just, oh my god. I can imagine how that thing rattles and shakes. Now that they got the gun firing shaken. But
yeah,
yeah, Defense
too low though.
Con is typically pretty cool. Sadly, we're not getting one this year, which I understand. Again, that goes back to Squadron 42 2026, which typically I'm assuming, if I had to think about that, I'm thinking that it's because honestly, if they're limiting this much in Star Citizen that they've never done before, I'm thinking Squadron might be coming sooner. It's definitely gonna be 2026, but I'm wondering if it's gonna be early 2026 because
They made a lot of progress on the end game, but like I would see like this is the final sprint to the finish where you're like, okay, instead of doing our normal checkpoints and this, that, and the other thing, we're just gonna pass through. We're gonna skip the final pit stop and go for it. I know I'm coming with really, really, really weird analogies, but
well, because think about it like this. We know GTA 6 is coming out in May of 2026. At least that's what they said. Invictus is typically in May. So they're not going to release Squadron during Invictus. They're not going to release it in May because there's a chance that GTA's sales will impact Star Citizens. Or, sorry, CIGs. I keep saying Star Citizen, but Squadron's its own thing. So CIG sales. They could do it around CitizenCon for 2026, because that, I would assume that would be a live in person, or if they do another digital, have it. Well, see, this is kind of a double-edged sword, because if they do another digital and they allow the game to be played during CitizenCon, no one's going to watch CitizenCon.
Yep.
But if they release it at CitizenCon 2026 and allow it to be played on premises and pre-ordered on premises during CitizenCon, and then release it a week later, I can see them doing that.
Feel Good says I would bet against early 26 if only because the new behind the scenes stuff in today's update was super basic. Teasers can be super basic.
Yeah. And we all know CIG likes to stir the pot. Flight blades.
They do. God.
Which I'm sorry. I really don't want to talk about the fucking flight blades because I'm so fucking sick of hearing about it. I'm so sick of everyone's video being, oh, did Invictus go well, but they're still selling the flight blades. You know what? Enough. I don't agree with them locking a paint behind the flight blades, but they were $15 to $18. They're not that much. Like, I'm over it. I'm sick of it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Simple. Wait for it to come out in the game, which it'll be out in June per CIG.
Yeah, not too far out. But
no, so like previous years, the way they did Invictus, because you said you didn't like the fact that they didn't like to buy the ships until their day came up.
Yeah.
They do that on purpose. So the old Invictus,
I figured it was intentional.
Like the old IAE videos were great because they were all in-game rendered, in-game engine, and it was this. It made you feel like you were watching Top Gear.
Okay.
The way the old videos were for IAE, like it was great. Um, so they typically, you know, RSI comes out, right? RSI ships are available, and then they're available for 2 days, and then the next manufacturer comes up. But RSI is still available now that it's already been announced. But the next ones aren't, and I believe that's how they did it this year. Because I remember going on there and being able to see RSI, even though we're on Anvil Day.
Yeah, once the day passed, it stayed available until the end, and then, yeah.
It's kind of their way of building up the hype. You know, it's kind of like when they finally announced that the Idris was going to be released. People went batshit. I mean, there's third-party websites where people are selling these Idrises for $2,500 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Which CIG needs to get their shit together and not allow that.
They
I think
also
any
need
ship over $1,000 should be transferable. Period.
Anything. Well, I don't know if I completely agree with that, because you can sell anything, you can scalp anything, even if it's less than $1,000.
No,
but what they really need to do is they need a CAPTCHA or some double authentication method where bots can't come in and like buy up all the stock in a split second.
Yeah, true, because the bots were making the waves a nightmare. Feelgood asks, isn't that already the case? No, it's not. So people who were buying the Idris were actually being able to go in their hangar and see the gift option to where they could gift it to someone. So that was kind of a interesting thing, unless they're going to edit it in the back end here shortly. But it's how it's supposed to be. I don't think it's actually implemented. Yeah, they might have screwed it up, but from what I know, they are sellable. I mean, yeah, you can make an account, sell the account login information and whatever, but yeah, there should definitely be something especially if you're going to do wave sales, because any company that's ever done a wave sale, it's never worked out. I mean, just look at the NVIDIA 30 series when they had the waves for the some of the stores had waves for online purchases of GPUs. I know Newegg did, and scalpers were yanking those up like freaking hotcakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, worse than hand sanitizer during COVID.
Yeah. There's a poor son of a bitch somewhere with a garage full of hand sanitizer still.
We know of that guy. Yeah, he yeah. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of hand sanitizer. You're good for the next 20 years, buddy.
At least it wasn't lotion. Somebody would think he's had a problem.
Oh, good God. People would think he's Hannibal Lecter.
or Diddy before Diddy.
Yeah. No, I think Invictus went well this year. You know, like I said earlier, they killed their financials for all the previous years, mainly because of the Idris, which I can actually tell you because I pulled it up earlier, and I took a screenshot of what they were at prior to Invictus start. So CIG prior to Invictus start was, and I haven't looked at this since. They were like 801 million. They're at 835 million. And somebody did the numbers, I think, and they brought in an additional 75,000 Star Citizens. So that's another 75,000 accounts created. I believe it's not just accounts. I think it's actual to be counted in that number. I think it actually has to be pledged. I'm going through a photo here just to double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that about adds up. May 15th, 20 minutes after they opened Invictus, they had already made quite a lot of money. I mean, hell, just this week alone, they're still up, which is crazy. Let's see, just in June. Yeah, just in June alone, they've made over 20 million.
Jeez.
Or sorry, May.
I was gonna say, like,
And
they
that's
made 20 million in the future.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, bravo to CIG for bringing in an additional 20, 30 million dollars in a week or in a week and a half.
Really hope, and as a person that spends a little bit of money here and there on smaller ships and paints and like I got a couple of gear things, like I really hope that these pledges boost forward what they need to get done, because I know money makes things happen.
Yeah, and I mean 800 million, 835 million, $95,436 raised since Kickstart began in 2012. That's saying something. But again, we've said it before, that's for 3 games if you really think about it. Arena Commander
hold up.
is its own thing.
Yeah, it really is. How much was it again?
835,095,436.
835,095,436. Let's divide that by to 2012, right? So 13 years?
Realistically, 12 years in development.
Okay. So divide by 12 years. That's 69 million per year. Let's divide that by 3 games. That's $23 million per game per year. If I did that right. $23 million for a game development per year is actually not a lot.
Well, if you divide it by 12, that's 69 million.
Yeah.
Per year.
Per year for 3 games.
Yeah, per 3 games.
Whatever, yeah.
Divide that by 3. It's about 23.
23 million per game for 3 games per year to develop. And I will say the amount of detail in this game is freaking phenomenal. I'm sitting at checkmate right now. Let me flip this over here really quick. Go to blank. I'm sitting at checkmate. I'm looking at the steam that's coming through the grates, the reflections that are coming off the metal, the differences in tone, the texture on that metal plate that's down there, the amount of detail. If I look around, there's like ropes and cords and things that are in here that I don't know what they do, but it makes sense that they're there.
Well, here, let me do one even better. I'm going to go back to the React screen quickly. There's Knight's face, which is about to disappear.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to... So, this is something we shot the other night when you stole the Idris app.
I didn't steal it. I just borrowed it.
But the amount of fidelity. Where'd it go?
Hey, everybody, by the way. Just so you're not staring at my big face. There.
I just gotta bring this thing down. Okay, why are you not showing? there. What is hiding me? Hold, please. Let me get rid of all this quickly. And just bring everything. Or is this just not wanting to work? Oh,
that
okay.
is a completely black screen.
Yeah. Regardless, it's the Idris railgun firing. And I don't know why I can't get it to show. Maybe I got too many things going. I don't know, but it's not popping up for whatever reason. But it was epic.
It was. And everything that has to go into that. I mean, you've got not only the physics of the railgun firing, you've got the visuals, you've got the sound, and
Here,
they had to program the entire massive ship. That's a massive ship, the Idris. They had to get that entire thing to shake.
I'll just do this. Go to the video. Today, Junior.
Trying to watch it on my phone. Is it paused or did it take forever to shoot?
Where is it?
It's also like a 5 to 10 second delay before I actually get to see anything on my phone.
Or is this the one where you didn't?
That might not be the one. 'Cause I wasn't moving the ship when I fired it.
It might be this one. Yeah, it was this one. I mean, the amount of detail in this. Okay, that's when you accidentally messed it up.
Overheated. I cooked it.
Here was the firing of it.
Yeah, I didn't know if I could overheat it. I was waiting for a Ryan to fire.
I mean, the audio, the sound, the smoke, like, just when it comes down to things like that, yeah. I mean, look at this. It's because of these funds that they do through Invictus and all that that allow them to make these kind of this detailed of a game. Because when we were doing the photo shoot for Blue's Raquel Polaris and Bloom on Pyro, you're not going to get that kind of fidelity and visual schematic out of a multiplayer game. Single player, yes. Multiplayer, no. I'm sorry. I don't care what engine. I don't care if it's Unreal Engine 5, you know, actual gameplay and where it's that smooth. No. You're
I'd
not going to mind.
I'd love to see Call of Duty bring their level of graphics up to what they have in this game.
Oh, good God.
It can't compete. I mean,
no.
is like a game like Warzone smoother? Is it a lot more structurally sound? Yes.
Yeah.
But graphically, no.
But then you look at games like Call of Duty and you look at how long they've been in development and how long they've been able to develop these games, and you sit here going, no wonder they can put out, random number here, $200 million budget game that's going to look close-ish to Star Citizen, but it's not going to be Star Citizen. Like, honestly, the only other game I can think of that came close, obviously Crysis, because this is built on CryEngine, or a stripped-down version of CryEngine. Battlefield. The Battlefield games were super realistic to a degree. At least Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and the only other game I think that I would love to see remastered in Star Engine would be Titanfall. Titanfall remastered in Star Engine would be beautiful. But that's never going to happen because EA owns it.
EA Sports. It's in the money.
EA Sports. We fuck everything up. But
anyway.
Anywho, we don't. So only one person did a question on the Twitch page, and that was Gonda Shima. And so, if anyone in chat has any questions on what they'd like to see and whatnot, now is question from viewers. We're gonna go through the first question of on the suggestion box on the Twitch page, and then we will go to the viewers if anyone has any questions. So Gonda asks, are ground vehicles a viable and valuable asset? What, if any, changes could be beneficial to that gameplay aspect? I'm gonna let you start. Blue.
I was gonna say I would say yes. As far as gameplay, what I currently do with ground vehicles is if I'm doing, say bounties, not mercenaries, but bounty extractions, the ones where you go and eliminate the target or the bounty at the bunker, where the bunker's not friendly ever. If you fly into private property, you're getting shot at. My favorite thing to do is load up my Ursa medevac into a ship, set down 5 clicks away, jump in the Ursa medevac, and drive up to the bunker. Use the medevac's guns to take out any outside opposition. I have my spawn point set to the Ursa in case I die inside. I'm not losing all the effort that I have. That's something I appreciate about it. It's kind of like having a save point or a checkpoint in like a. If you ever played Resident Evil, you die, you have a checkpoint. You can go back to that checkpoint. That's something I appreciate about that particular style, that type of gameplay, because I don't think Star Citizen needs to get to the point where it has to be hyper realistic. It's still a game. I still want to be able to save my stuff. If I'm doing a bounty, I want to be able to go back a couple of steps and do something different and try to progress forward, not, worry about every single mission. I'm going to go out and lose everything that I'm carrying.
Yeah.
I know there's workarounds. I know you can save stuff. You keep only the necessities on you. I get that. But anyway, going back to the ground vehicle thing, if they could add a little bit more opposition on the ground, like say more players or another vehicle that you have to say the NPCs are sitting in a ground vehicle that you can take out. Doesn't have to be a tank. Could just be like a little rover or something with a turret on it or whatever. You can take that out. Something that the Ursa can take out on its own. Mm-hmm. Or heck, they've got the TAC. You can do a flyover and take out the TAC with the size, or take out the ground vehicle with the size 5s. This I know this has nothing to do with ground vehicles, but another one of my favorite things to do is at the mercenary missions, well, the ones you can get close to the bunker, you just fly up to the front and you're hovering about like 100 meters away from the door at about like 50 meters off the ground and just snipe all the guys. You just open up one of the drop doors and just snipe. That's fun. It makes the snipers useful because you can't really use them indoors. But that kind of gameplay I would like to see them develop that a little bit more, because I would like to be a little more challenged and get those bounties. Where I can do that, where I can set down my tack, where I can drive up to the location, have a little bit more opposition instead of taking out the 4 guys and then going in. And then they do have higher level bounty missions, like the red and the yellow tier and the number 6, number 7, number 8, whatever those number missions are. They get progressively more difficult because there's more ships there.
Yeah.
They need to do more with the bounty missions to add the difficulty. They don't really have a difficulty tier on the extractions. So maybe the ground version of an ERT is a high security bunker that is guarded by a tank, and then maybe what's the military version of a personal transportation carrier? I forget what it's called.
Dropship.
No. I'm talking like actual military, a personnel carrier.
C-130, APC.
APC, thank you. An APC, something like maybe an APC on the ground that you have to take out. Yeah. Just not like, because right now all you have to do for ERTs, like I said, is like 4 guards standing outside, and then you got some opposition inside, and then you just work around the AA turrets. So if they could ramp that up, I'm interested to see what they're going to use the new locations and ground assets 4 and 4.2, because they brought us the MTC, so it's probably going to be needed in the next patch.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned the MTC and 4.2, because that's one of the things I think people are kind of complaining about right now, is that the atmospheric issues, the distortion effects, are affecting ground vehicles in 4.2. Yeah. So like, it doesn't matter if you fly outside of the storm and then you're driving in, you're kind of screwed either way.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, and I understand that it might be something a little more difficult for them to fix, but I think a way for them to fix that and give us that ground, some ground gameplay to where you're driving through a hellish storm, right, would be to set the atmospheric anomalies, we'll call it, to an altitude, to where only allow that stuff to affect things that are over 100 meters high or 50 meters high. So everything below 50 meters, because good luck flying in at 50 meters if you got hills and trees and whatnot to avoid. But give us something like that, fix it that way. But yeah, I would love to see ground vehicles become more of a thing, because give us a use for the Nova tank. Give us a use for the Ursa Medevac, the MTC, the regular Ursa, Also, put the Ursa Medevac back on the pledge store. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know why they took that out.
I don't know why it's not for sale on the pledge store when it's for sale in game. But give us more uses. Like, so they're coming out with these defend missions. Make it to where we have to be on the ground defending an outpost from an attack with, like, the Trumbull AA or the Ballista, or with rail guns and rocket launchers, things like that would be cool. It would make ground vehicles more relevant.
Yeah, they also need to. I think they need to change up the Nova. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm saying this from an experience that I had while I was running around Hathor. There was a group of people. I don't know if it was an org or if they just kind of scattered people around. There was a Nova that was on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it until I was really close, which, yeah, that's fine. But it was launching missiles at me. And I was sitting there the entire time. I popped chaff, got away from the missile, came around, and I was able to fly around. I was buzzing around this thing in my Hornet, knocked it all the way down to the point where it almost exploded, and then flew off. I just created a problem with him. I don't want to delete the guy because, like, you're an a-hole. Don't shoot at me. So I left, and as I left, he shot another round at me. It was just a missile, and I popped chaff again. And I was able to get away. I'm like, is there another version of the Nova, or can you switch out the ammunition from a missile to like an actual ballistic round that you can shoot like it's a tank that you can't dodge?
So the Nova tank, I think, only gets a few missiles, but then it's got its main cannon, which is a ballistic gun. They are implementing a new. Actually, they just sold it during Invictus, to where the Nova tank main gun can get switched out to a ballistic Gatling gun. Pretty much, it's an AC-130 gun on a Nova tank. Well, not AC-130, A-10.
Okay.
Right. It's the Vulcan on it. But what they need to do is they need to fix the missile system. Mm-hmm. Because right now, even if you pop chaff and flares, they don't always... And I mean, okay, yeah, in reality, chaff and flares may not always work. Mm-hmm. But in a game, I can't see how you can't code it to where your chaff and flares put out a bigger IR signature than your ship.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be a relatively simple thing to do. Because, I've been shot down by, rail guns. I've been shot down by missiles. Actually, one of those Hathor events we were doing, I was on, this is when Optics was still playing. I was on ground protection. I think you were up above us, and found a Tumbril AA just rolling its way in. Luckily we got to it before it rolled in, but still, it's like, okay,
how do we miss this?
Yeah, because there's no. Honestly, we need to have two separate radar systems on our aircraft. We should have an aerial radar, and we should have ground radar. We should have the ability to ping the ground. Now, I get scanning kind of does that, but when the signature on a tank is minuscule and you're not going to see it till it's, right on top of you.
I suppose that is the compromise to its not so wondrous weaponry.
Yeah, because, the guns aren't the best. The Nova tank's been a broken vehicle since release. It's still broken. People are blowing up their Asgards because they're loading them up in it, even though they showed that's what it's supposed to do, but it's bouncing all over the damn place. Like, come on, you guys keep releasing stuff that's broken. But then again, active development, so I'll take it with a grain of salt. But as for ground vehicles, I wish there were stuff that was... I wish there were more uses for ground vehicles. Like I said, give us the ability to roll in on foot, take down these bunkers. They are supposed to be adding some defend missions. It'd be great if they're not all aerial.
Yeah. Yep.
And, you know, let us do stuff that's like, you know, the Vandal Swarm, where it's like endless waves, or, you know, you got to survive 5 waves of not just infantry, but, you know, outlaws with buggies that are affixed with, you know, weapons and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of things that could make ground combat worthwhile and better, but I don't see us getting them this year, but I could be wrong. Other than that, I mean, that's really the only question we've got. I don't see anything anywhere else. So,
I think
Blue,
we can
what do we
call it
got
'cause
going on for next week?
Next week, this may change a little bit. We shall see, but the tentative plan, if I can bring my list back up,
Not allowed.
is dot 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 dot. I think I used my
Don't
used
go
my
to
tab that I was.
episode 3, because episode 3 is completely different from what the main topics for
Oh no
next
no
week
no.
is.
Yeah, no, I have I was going off of we did have a copy paste kind of thing going here. So episode 3, based off of episode two's notes. Organizations, what they are, the kinds of organizations that are available, things that can happen in organizations, whether it's goals, whether it's discourse, whether it's, you know, compromises, some real world examples that we had come up recently, the purpose of orgs and why you should join one. This is kind of oriented around new players that might be curious as to, well, what is an organization? Is it a clan? Is it are you permanently stuck to them? Is it a temporary thing? What is an org? So we're going to cover that. Talking about some game bugs, going a little bit off the beaten path here, and actually talking about we mentioned things that are wrong with the game on a regular basis, but it's usually in passing and part of another conversation. But talking about what's wrong with the game directly, what our worst bugs that we've ever experienced were, where there's some workarounds, but also the evolution and improvements that have come along in the time that we've been playing the game to improve those bugs, and kind of discuss, you know, what our thoughts are for the future of the game. And then also kind of branching off of 4.2 and segueing into next week is picking a home location during a new patch, and what you should consider when picking a home location, and then what the options are out there. 4.2, about going through the evolution of the last several patches that I've experienced. I started out in February in Stanton at Area 18 because I didn't know there was a suggestion. I was just like, okay, let's get in the game, figure out what's going on. And then as I jumped around, I went to Orison on the next patch, and then now I'm over at Lorville, which now I'm regretting because I'm like, I really don't like the hangars over here. But I picked them based off of where the gameplay was going to be. At least the second one anyway. I was like, okay, so the mine and align, I like the access to Seraphim Station and whatnot. I'm starting to get into the actual topic, so you get the point. Pyro is going to be the main focus next week, so maybe we talk about why you should pick a pyro station or a pyro home versus picking a home in Stanton.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep your home in the quiet neighborhood, or do you want to follow the rabble over to pyro, wherever all the action is going to be? So we'll break that down next week, and maybe add a few other topics to that as the week goes along, as we experience new information's coming about 4.2 and the future.
Works for me.
Cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to end episode 2 of Citizen Talk here. I want to thank you guys for coming by. Thank you for your comments and chat and questions. As always, it is a pleasure. This is a new thing. We're still dealing with a couple issues, especially when we're trying to switch stuff live. So it's going to make listening to the podcast a little interesting. We are on Spotify and we are on Apple Podcast, so you can find us there. Mainly Spotify seems to update first. Apple seems to be giving me issues. But, yeah. With that, Blue, tell everyone where they can find you, what you're going to be up to.
Don't forget to follow Evil Tactics at twitch.tv/Evil Tactics and myself, twitch.tv/Mr. B Knight. That's MRBKNGHT. I'm actually myself going to be going live here in a few minutes after we segue, and I'm going to be doing some executive hanger runs with the guys if they're still on. They had plans to do multiple runs today, so I'll be out in Pyro trying not to die. And thanks for the good chat tonight.
Yeah, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for coming by, and as always, be safe out there. See you in the verse. And stay tactical, my friends. We'll see you in the next one.